on 2020 Vision, Pastor Paul Goulet continues his teaching on influence with I've Made Up My Mind, Part 5. Also, new music by George Huff with Miracles.
Hi, I'm Paul Goulet. This is 2020 Vision. We're standing on Sentosa Island here in Singapore. It is totally an amazing place. And one of the things I wanted to show you today is just some of the foliage. We're perhaps give you some close-ups as the program goes on, but it is really, really amazing. The trees and the plants and the coconut trees, and it's just a great place. And this is a place where just as much as nature is growing, God's Spirit is moving in the churches here and in the city. It is truly, truly wonderful. And as you know, from Singapore, we're heading to India to try to make a difference in a really broken land. What a contrast, Singapore and India. One day, if you come with us on these trips, you'll see the difference of a place that really is moving forward and another place that needs a push by God's power and God's love. Well, listen, we want to give you a push today so you can go to your next level. And so this program is all about helping you get to the next level. In fact, there's two words we want to talk about. One is the word potential, and the other word is the word destiny. Potential involves your life. Destiny involves where you're going. So this program is meant to inspire you to reach your potential, but fulfill your destiny and touch many, many lives. We want to head to a music video right now that will inspire you, and then we want to head to the International Church of Las Vegas so that you can go to the next level.
Everything I want and dream, I could be so much, that would be a miracle. Family and friends, they gathered round to pray, how they prayed for a miracle and hoped for a miracle. But I found out that miracles, they happen every day in ordinary ways. Life is a miracle of ordinary love. It's true and simple as it seems. Ordinary love is the miracle to me. Yeah. We're looking for stars that shoot across the sky, bring fairy tales to life. That would be a miracle. So often we miss the little things in life while we pray for a miracle and hope for a miracle. But still we find that miracles every day in ordinary ways. Yeah. Ordinary love, it's true and simple as it seems. Ordinary love is the miracle to me. When you realize the truth, that it all depends on you. Yes, it's the miracle to me. Yeah, to me.
Joshua 24, 14 and 15.
Now therefore, fear the Lord, serve him in sincerity and in truth, and put away the gods which your fathers served on the other side of the river and in Egypt. Serve the Lord. And if it seems evil to you to serve the Lord, choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord.
Now Joshua had a clear understanding that he was speaking the truth, then he was handing over the power of choice. Everybody say the power of choice. Realizing that he was not responsible for their choices. Let me say this, he was not responsible for their choices. And I want to teach you a piggyback principle off of this morning. If you weren't here this morning, get the tape or DVD. It's worth it. It's going to be worth a lot to your life. But I want to share another concept. Everybody lift up 4 fingers. I want to show you the things that you're responsible for and the things that you're not responsible for. Lift up 4. You are responsible for your thoughts. Say thoughts. Feelings, choices, and actions. You are responsible for your what? Thoughts, feelings, choices, and actions. You are not responsible for the thoughts, feelings, choices, and actions of others as long as you live these 4 out in a biblical way.
It's good, Pastor.
So I'm going to show you this in the Word. He clearly said this. He said, listen, if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, why? Because basically people are going to do what their desires are. If it's undesirable to you, then fine. Then choose for yourselves this day who you'll serve. And then he goes on, but it says, as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. So Joshua clearly showed that he was responsible for his thoughts, his feelings, his choices, and his actions. Remember, I taught you in the model of the mind that our thought, God speaks to our mind to think thoughts and make choices that'll lead us to our divine or creative potential. Remember that? I talked about that for the last couple of weeks. Then we went through the wheel of awareness, and we talked about how we interpret things, and based on the interpretation comes our feelings. From feelings, our options. From our options, our choices. From our choices, our actions, and our actions, our consequences. And our consequences then basically lead us to our destiny, either a demonic destiny, our creative destiny, our divine potential, or creative potential. So we've learned those principles so far. Then we got into the vat, that everything you see and hear you filter through, and you see through the world dimly, the Bible says. And then this morning and last Sunday, I started sharing with you the circle of progress, on how our lives are basically circular. And we went through the 12 points of the circular process. You need to get a hold of that copy. In fact, just show it on the screen real quick. That is, if you did not get that this morning or last week, those are the 12 steps to the circle of progress. We will not go through that right now, but you can write it down as I'm going. But this morning, the revelation came is that basically we keep going through a cycle until we break out of that cycle. In terms of new revelation, giving us the ability to go to the next cycle of our life, and then the next cycle of our life, and the next cycle of our life, which basically are cycles of glory, levels of glory, cycles of progress. And then this morning we also learned that there's just not one area where we have a cycle a circle of progress or cycle of progress, but literally that in different areas of our life we have circles of progress. So in other words, all of us have different compartments of our life. I know some people are physically strong but spiritually dead. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul? So there's the emotional component of you. The word soul is your mind and your emotions. What does it profit a man that he gain the whole world but lose his mind and his emotions? Howard Hughes is a great example of a man who gained the entire world but lost his mind. You saw the movie. I mean, there's many others. I've seen people, in fact, I grew up in a family where my father was gaining the world, but emotionally he wasn't doing very well, and my brother tried to commit suicide when he was young. I thought of committing suicide. My sister left home when she was 15. I left home when I was 15. Guess what? We were not a healthy family. And yet, on the exterior, we were a successful family. So one component of the Goulet family was doing well. My father had financial success, but there was not emotional health or spiritual health. Most of us were physically healthy, but you have components of your life, and in each component there are cycles of progress. Now, remember, if we're at a discontent phase, we have to get to the point where we start seeking, and our seeking has to bring us to more revelation of God rather than going back to our vomit or going back to the world's way of making progress in their lives. And I gave you illustrations of that. Now, tonight I want to talk about 3 ingredients to translate intentions into reality. 3 ingredients to translate intention, and the intention is obviously going back to, and I know I'm going quickly, I'm just revising things. I'm reviewing it, I should say. Translating this concept of vision, how do you translate it into reality? We have great intentions, all of us do, but to translate it into reality is sometimes difficult. To get our breakthrough into glory is sometimes difficult. And I want to talk about 3 things that you can do to help do that. Very practical. Number 1, write down the power to let go. Everybody say the power to let go. Now, I like his definition on page 15 here of this book. He gives a definition of power. The word power can be defined as the basic energy needed to initiate and sustain action, enabling one to translate intention into reality. Let me read that again. The word power can be defined as a basic energy needed to initiate and sustain action, enabling one to translate intention into reality. I like the definition because, as you know, I've already taught on the 5 powers of God. And we don't have to review that right now, but basically that is one of the powers of God, is energy, energio. And so I truly believe this is a very powerful translation, or definition, I should say. So let's talk about the power to let go. Friends, I want you to pray tonight, God, give me the power to let go of old lies. God, there are some lies that you still believe about your life. I shared a few weeks ago that some of your interpretations are childish interpretations that you've lived with for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And instead of seeing the way God sees it, you're living with a child's view of that experience. We talked about that. And the other thing is, let go of beliefs about your past, your present, and your future that can hinder you. See, what I want to really encourage you to do is let go of beliefs about who you are. I'm stupid, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm this or I'm that. No one will ever marry me. These are beliefs about your life. I can never achieve anything. God can never use me. These are all beliefs that we all have about our lives. The question is to get the power to let go of old beliefs. Are y'all still with me? The belief that you can't be forgiven for your sins. There's a lot of people that live in guilt. They're constantly stuck in that. So Joshua, when he says, hey, listen, this is what you should do, but listen, go ahead and choose, but I've chosen this. That guy was healthy. He'd helped lead Israel for over 40 years. And now he was able to say, to disconnect and say, listen, it's like being a parent. Young people, your parents can do the right thing, smell the right thing, say the right thing, believe the right thing, pray the right thing, but guess what? You're responsible. You got to take what's given to you, and then you're responsible to do something with it. But you may be, on the other hand, you may have bad parents who are on crack, or parents that are addicted to whatever, or you may have been left when you're 5 years old. Guess what? You're still responsible to do something with your life. When we get to heaven, we can't go, well, God, my parents this, or my parents that, or my coach this, or my teacher this. You are responsible for your life. Young people, everybody say with me, I'm responsible for my life. Mary, you're responsible for your life. Croatia, man, there were bombs flying there not too many years ago. But you've taken your life and you're trying to make something good out of it. Guess what? Because you're responsible. Whether they're bombs bursting in air or whatever, you are responsible. Joseph, when he went back to Rwanda, as they drove into Kigali, there was dead bodies all over the road. That was his memory as a 5 or 6 year old. Guess what? How would you like to grow up with that memory? Dead bodies everywhere. But now he's trying to make something out of his life. He is responsible. Everybody say, I'm responsible. So we have to have the power to let go of beliefs that can hinder us. Sometimes as parents, when our kids don't do what we tell them to do, or the kids don't do what's right, we feel responsible.
Can I share something with you? That's not a healthy belief structure right there. Moms and dads, if your kids didn't make the right decisions, I mean, maybe it makes you feel better to feel guilty and beat yourself up, but it's not biblical. You tell them the right thing to do, you show them the right thing to do, and then it's their choice, and they're responsible. Now, I'm not referring to parents that abuse their children or parents that beat them up with 2x4s or sexually abuse them. I'm not referring to abusive parents. There is responsibility there. I can hurt you if I'm an abusive person. I can say hurtful things. However, if you're a good parent trying to do your best, guess what? Your children are responsible for their choices. Say, well, they're not adults yet. Well, guess what? They're still responsible at 12 years old. God will hold you all responsible as a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 16-year-old, 17-year-old. You are at the age, is what they call the age of accountability, which means that you're responsible for your own choices. You know what, young people, the best thing I can tell you to do is don't do it because your parents say to do it, and don't do it because your parents say don't do it. Do it because you know it's right. Because the bottom line is, I mean, I've seen a lot of kids do bad things simply because they're reacting to their parents. I've seen a lot of teenagers, man, they're acting out of anger towards their parents or anger towards this or anger towards that, when really the ones that's losing is them. And said, hey, wait a second. Why do I believe that, why am I doing this right now? Is this the end that I want to live? Is this what I want for my life? Now let me give you this. Isaiah chapter 46, we want to jump to there right now. I hope I'm not going too fast. Are y'all getting this a little bit? All right, well, as long as you're getting a little bit, but we have to ever say, I need the power to let go. Isaiah 46 is going to be very powerful for you. Read that, please.
Remember this, fix it in mind, take it to heart, you rebels. I make known the end from the beginning, from ancient times, what is still to come.
Stop there, please. Now it says here, fix it in your mind, take it to heart. What happens when you start thinking about something? Eventually it gets to your heart, which comes right back to the wheel of awareness. From my interpretation comes my what? My feelings. If I think it, I'll eventually feel it. A lot of people think, well, I just don't feel like doing the right thing. You know what? Do the right thing anyway, and eventually your feelings will follow. Well, I don't feel like listening to my parents. I don't feel like doing the right thing. I don't feel like forgiving. Well, you know what? Nor do I. But I do it anyway. Why? Because it's right. And because it's right, my feelings will eventually follow. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. If you determine your life by your feelings, guess what? You'll be stuck in a rut, and eventually this wheel will start having a downward spiral, and you will not have success and glory to glory. You can't determine your life by your feelings. Now, thank you all three of you who believe that. All right. Let go of lies about others and about God. Let go of fear. Let go of people-pleasing and codependency. That's what Joshua did. He said, listen, hey, you choose it. Although I've been your leader for, partial leader for over 40 years, and plus the years that he was leading him in the promised land, he says, listen, hey, you do what you want. This is what I'm telling you to do. You don't want to do it, don't do it. But I know what I'm going to do. That's a healthy person. So the power to let go. Say, power to let go. Fix it in your mind, take it to your heart. And then he says, I've made known the end from the beginning. Now, take this for a second. I've known the end from the beginning. What would happen if you started living your life not based on this particular circle of progress, but you start basing your life on wanting to get here, the end? I'm not talking about the end as your death. I'm talking about the end result that you'd love to see. And you know what? Maybe even the end result that God would love you to be at. And I like what it says here. I have made known the end from the beginning. Now, I like what Pastor Aaron was sharing this morning, because he shared it with me tonight. He says, build your life toward the desired end. So in other words, you build your life not in response or reaction to the present, but you build your life in an effort to get to a specific goal or end result. Y'all stay with me? The end is not your death, but it's to accomplish everything that really God desires for you to accomplish. In other words, young people, where does God want you in a year? Where would you like to be? Where would God want you to be? Where would God want you to be in 3 years, friends, or 5 years? Where would he want you to be in 7 years or 10 years or 20 years? If you could get a picture of the glory that he wants you to experience here, or here, or here, if you could get a glimpse of it, don't you think it'd be better to attain it? How can you chart a course to a place, a destination you don't know? So Dan, you've got a brand new beautiful baby. What's your vision for that baby? What would be God's will for that baby in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? Don't you think I dreamed about it for Isabel and for Christine and Samuel? Don't you think I've dreamed about where I'd like to see them? From the moment I held Isabel with her little black hair, and we held Isabel in our arms. Christine. Isabel, you had black hair when you were born? She had no hair at all? I'm living with the interpretation of the facts of my life. I thought you had hair too, Isabel. Well, you know what? When I had Isabel, I was only like 22 years old. I was so scared I thought I was going to break her when I held her. It's like, oh, God. But when I held Isabel in my hands, at one point we called her Isabald. Not me, but mean people, like people in my church. I'm just kidding. I got pictures. She was so small, she weighed like 6 pounds something. And I just kind of held her like this. Oh, God, what do I do with this? But never did I think that in 10 years I want her to experience pain. Never did I think at 18 years old I want her to have cancer. Never did I think but I thought good thoughts. That's why the Bible says about us, we have a good Father. He says, I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Dan, when you hold your little baby in your arms, you got good thoughts too. Powerful thoughts, wonderful thoughts, only the best. You want that child to experience 10 times better than you had. Am I right or wrong? You hold your little babies. I want them to go to college, or I want them to have a great career. I want them to find the right mate. And we have great dreams. What would happen if you started living your life this way? God, give me a glimpse of the glory so I can start targeting my activities, moving my energies towards this end rather than this end. What would happen tonight if you got a clear glimpse of one of the glories that God has for you? I like people that teach finances. Dave and Tina, you guys teach finances, and I love what you say. You start, what do you want to do when you retire? How old are you right now? Where's Dave and Tina? I saw them. Where are you right now? When do you want to retire? You start helping them set financial ends. And then they have to start, you have to save, to get there, you're going to have to save so much at such a rate, right? And you teach stuff like that. Good stuff financially. What if we did it for every area of our life? Yeah. Physically, where do I want to be? I'm 48 right now. Where do I want to be when I'm 68 years old? Where do I want to be intellectually by the time I reach 68?
I hope you enjoyed that word from the International Church of Las Vegas. Listen, friends, head to our webpage, ICLV.com. There's all kinds of new resources there. There's even a blog about this trip and some very wonderful clips and funny one too. So head to ICLV.com. And don't forget that you can come and visit us at the International Church of Las Vegas. Go online, ICLV.com. You'll get a little map there and find out how to reach our location, which is very simple. We also have a downtown location, and we're opening up a south location very, very soon. You'll see that also on our website. Friends, we love you. Never forget that God has an awesome plan for your life, and that's why we're here, to help you achieve God's potential for your life and the destiny that He's always planned for you and your family. God bless you. Can't wait to meet you at the International Church of Las Vegas.
Heavenly Father, righteous one, inhabit our praises with your love. Heavenly Father, Holy One, inhabit our praises with your love. With our voices raised, we bring you praise. With our hearts we worship and adore. It's my passion, Lord, to surrender all. In this treasured moment, I'm speechless. What more can I say to express the beauty of your holiness? In this moment, it's my desire to lift you higher, Heavenly Father.
pastor's whistling Gilligan's Island. Gilligan's Island.
With your love, with our voices raised, we bring you praise. With our hearts we worship and adore. It's my passion, Lord, to surrender all. In this treasured moment, I'm speechless. What more can I say to express the beauty of your holiness? In this moment, it's my desire to lift you higher, Heavenly Father, righteous one, inhabit our praises with your love, Heavenly Father, Holy One, inhabit our praises with your love, with your holy love, with your holy love, with your holy love, with your holy love.
Here in Singapore, in the jungle, we're going up to a sign that says, beware of peacock attacks, peacock attacks, peacock attacks. I'm telling you now, these things are live. They're about this tall. They told me all about them at the hotel. We're gonna see where they're at. This is what I'm talking about. This is the real deal.
What more can I say to express the beauty of your holiness? In this moment, it's my desire to lift you higher, Heavenly Father, righteous one, inhabit our praises with your love.
Visit 2020vision.net today for an incredible selection of CDs, books, and DVDs from Pastors Paul and Denise Goulet. Also, don't miss the latest releases from our very own ICLV worship team. All this and more available at 2020vision.net. Vision comes to you from the International Church of Las Vegas. If you like what you've seen, why not come experience it in person? Join us for Saturday night church at 6 p.m. and Sunday services at 8:30 a.m., 11 a.m., and 6 p.m. Come and be touched by God through music, teaching, fellowship, and more. We're at 8100 Westcliff at the corner of Westcliff and Cimarron.